that the very obsession of your public service must be duty, honor, country. Others will debate the controversial issues, national and international, which divide men's minds. But serene, calm, aloof, you stand as the nation's war guardian and its lifeguard from the raging tides of international conflict, and its gladiator in the arena of battle. For a century and a half, you have defended, guarded, and protected its hallowed traditions of liberty and freedom, of right and justice. Let civilian voices argue the merits or demerits of our processes of government. Whether our strength is being sapped by deficit financing indulged in too long, by federal paternalism grown too mighty, by power groups grown too arrogant, by politics grown too corrupt, by crime grown too rampant, by morals grown too low, by taxes grown too high, by extremists grown too violent, whether our personal liberties are as thorough and complete as they should be, these great national problems are not for your professional participation or military solution. Your guidepost stands out like a tenfold beacon in the night. Duty, honor, country. You are the leaven which binds together the entire fabric of our national system of defense. From your ranks come the great captains who hold the nation's destiny in their hands the moment the war tocsin sounds. The long, gray line has never failed us. Were you to do so, a million ghosts in olive drab, in brown khaki, in blue and gray, would rise from their white crosses, thundering those magic words, duty, honor, country. This does not mean that you are warmongers. On the contrary, the soldier, above all other people, prays for peace, for he must suffer and bear the deepest wounds and scars of war. But always in our ears ring the ominous words of Plato, that wisest of all philosophers: only the dead have seen the end of war. The shadows are lengthening for me. The twilight is here. My days of old have vanished. Tone and tint, they have gone. glimmering through the dreams of things that were. Their memory is one of wondrous beauty, watered by tears and coaxed and caressed by the smiles of yesterday. I listen vainly, but with thirsty ear, for the witching melody of faint bugles blowing reveille, of far drums beating the long road. In my dreams, I hear again the crash of guns, the rattle of musketry, the strange, mournful mutter of the battlefield. But in the evening of my memory, always I come back to West Point. Always there echoes and re-echoes duty, honor, country. Today marks my final roll call with you. But I want you to know that when I cross the river, my last conscious thoughts will be of the COA and the COA and the COA. I bid you farewell.
You are listening to the Hour of the Time, the only hour that ever was or ever will be or that ever is. This is the hour during which you will decide your future and thus our collective futures. If you are taping this, send a copy to Ollie North and Admiral Poindexter and write in big letters, duty, honor, country. What has happened that men who are sworn to protect and defend the Constitution are spending so much of their time subverting it? Men who are signed and sworn to the service of their country spend so much time breaking the law, going against the edicts of the Congress and thus of the people who elected them. How can a man be sworn to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, blatantly shred it and relegate it to the trash can? What has happened to the long gray line? Let me ask you this. Why did Truman sign the UN Participation Act and pass it into law? Why was the United Nations Treaty passed? What is the real purpose of the Disarmament Agency if not to bring about a new world order, a one world government? And if its purpose is to bring that about, ask yourself, and then ask yourself again, and then again, and then again, how could it possibly be? How could they do this? How in the world could they bring it about without the destruction of the sovereignty of the United States of America and thus the destruction of the Constitution? Without the full knowledge, consent, complicity, and cooperation of the officer corps of all four of the military services. Ask yourself, and then ask yourself again, and then again, and then again. And how could the officer corps justify going against their oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic? Now that is what you call a paradox. But I am telling you that it has been done and it has been justified, and the New World Order is manifesting before your very eyes at this very moment. It doesn't take a genius to be able to read between the lines of the newspapers and to be able to hear what's really being said on the news, to understand that the old world is disappearing and a new one is being born. And if Americans don't wake up in time, they will find that everything that they have cherished and loved, and everything that men like General Douglas MacArthur fought for, will pass by the wayside and will be no more. Those of you who believe that you will establish a utopia on this earth are dreamers, and your dreams will never be realized. For to believe in that utopia is to deny the very basic nature of mankind. And all throughout the history of the world, what has emerged always above everything else is the flawed basic nature of mankind. The only way that you could ever bring your utopia into existence is if you had a leader who was a true saint, who came from a point of perfect benevolence, and who is able to have absolute and total control over every other human being on this planet during every single moment of every 24-hour period. I say you will never find such a leader, and you will never find a populace which would allow such total and complete control over their very thoughts and actions during every moment of every day. I say that you do not have at all an understanding of the great disparity between your dreams and your abilities. And I say there will be no such utopia. Douglas MacArthur said, quote, "Only the dead have seen the end of war," unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, good night, and God bless you all.